making you wait to the end, to make you sit through all of the agenda and then the department reports. We're going to move you to the top, just so that we don't make you sit around all night. Unless you want to. Yeah. When you do have the open forum for the questions, I'm going to ask, I'll let you know now, ask you to come to the podium, name and address, and then for the record, so we have a record of you. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Cortland City Council for today, Monday, May 5th, 2025. I invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to serve you and to serve this city. We ask for your wisdom and guidance on the decisions before us this evening. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. Roger, can I have a roll call, please?
Jim Bradley.
Here.
Kathy Fleischer. Here. Dick McLean.
Here.
Don Moore.
Here.
John Kerry.
Here.
Scott Rowley.
Here.
Kevin Pyros.
Here. May I have a motion for the approval of minutes from the April 21st, 2025 council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections? Rhonda, can I have a roll call, please?
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Kerry.
Yes.
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kevin Pyros.
Yes. Next, we have a motion for the approval of schedule of bills to be paid totaling $488,480.76.
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Rhonda, can I have a roll call, please?
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Kerry.
Yes.
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Kevin Pyros.
Yes. Okay, we're going to change something up. Normally we do public comments at the end, but to be considerate of all of you folks who have joined this evening, I'm going to move it to the front, and the next item will be comments from the audience to council, questions. So, as I mentioned earlier, what I'll do is ask you to come to the podium, your name and your address for the record, and then have the podium to address council. So, who wants to go first? If you have a number of folks from the same area, if you have a central spokesman, that would probably be good if somebody wants to speak on behalf of the group.
Okay, Cheryl Thomas, 248 Old Oak Drive, Portland, Ohio. I'm here to ask what you guys are going to do about that creek. It not only flooded the other day, but ours floods all the time. We are the house that has a bridge over the creek. So if you know where that is, that's where we live. Our back property also gets flooded. It was yesterday, last night. I have panic attacks, and I'm not kidding you, when it rains. I am scared to death. And the other day, it was a living nightmare. I have videos on my phone that would make you want to cry. We could have put a canoe out in our front yard. My fiance could not walk across our driveway because the current was so strong. We pumped out as the water was coming down and still got almost a foot of water in our basement. Do you know how long it took for us to clean up our yard with all the garbage? Clean up our basement with all that soot and dirt? Our garage, our other barn garage, our driveway? A waste of time and money. Our water bill is going to be outrageous because of this cleaning we have to do. I wanna know what you're gonna do with that creek, and this is what you need to do, I might as well just tell you. It needs to be dredged, it needs to go deeper, it needs to go wider. You need to go down that creek and find out what garbage is down that creek, and it needs cleaned up. I don't know who's gonna do it. Now, I'm sure you're gonna tell me you don't have the funds to do this. Well, guess what? I'm gonna tell you how you're gonna do it. See all these people here that pay taxes, high taxes, all the way down our road? Go ahead, use that money. You'll have plenty of money to do all that. Maybe don't buy a clock car or whatever, but we're not even up to here, we're up to here. We're done with it, we wanna know what's gonna be done. And if I have anything more to say, I could step up again and talk again after the other folks talk. Thank you.
I can respond,
Because, I mean, a lot of this have a central theme of you're all bordering, for the most part, the creek, right? Most all of you? Okay.
okay.
So, the creek is a common denominator, so,
I'm not gonna speak in details because it's been quite some time since I reviewed them. I did contact the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
I did too.
Okay, who was responsible, who would be in charge of that. And, you know, that's where we can start, that's all we can do.
Okay. I spoke to him the last time we came to a meeting.
Who was him?
I wanna say his name was Sean or
Okay.
some, is that?
because the microphone's not gonna pick you up.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously, everything you have to say is very important, so,
I'm
this
sorry.
way, no, I'm sorry, didn't mean that.
Okay, so I talked to Tim Huff, who's a local representative, his office is here for Mosquito Creek Lake. He works out of the Pittsburgh office. He is going to find out if they would even consider giving us a permit, and we'll go from there. I can't even tell you for sure if they will, but we can pursue that option.
Last time I was here, I asked for the same thing. The Army Corps of Engineer guy, I was in contact with him, but me being one person, you could see obviously where that went, nowhere. So, yes, if you can pursue that, that would be a great solution to the problem.
Okay, understand it's not gonna be an immediate solution, I can't even promise you that they will do that, but we are at least looking into it.
Okay, how will we know the results of you pursuing that?
Darn good question. How would be the best way to communicate with you?
I think we all deserve that.
Is something we can put on the
In the
e-news? How many of you have signed up for e-news? If you go out to our website, there's a place to subscribe, and the mayor does a great job every week of sending out a notification of things that are upcoming, things that are in the community, and maybe that's one of the things that we can send out and distribute to you electronically as soon as we have an update. So if you don't, you just need an email address. So if you go out to the website, click on subscribe, go ahead and sign up, and then you'll be in the know of everything that's going on. We'll also post it on our webpage, so if you don't have an email, you can go onto our website, and on the front page, Rhonda does a great job of putting different things that are coming up, and you can scroll through the different topics and get information that way too.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanna say again, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is part of the Defense Department, okay? Things move slowly and they have other priorities, so this is not something that we're gonna get a quick response to.
Actually, that's exactly what they told me, they have other priorities.
Right.
Would us help also contacting them?
I don't think so. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I do not think so.
But it wouldn't hurt.
Okay. And could I get that name from you and how to contact him? And maybe we can all get that on your news, so that we can do the same.
I do not feel comfortable giving his email out, or his,
Well, is there a central?
How about a phone number?
Yeah, is there a phone number for the Army Corps, or the local Army Corps, or the Army Corps out of the Pittsburgh office? Is there a? Probably Pittsburgh.
They're a public agency.
Yeah.
You can find it out yourself, because I found it out.
okay.
We can somehow communicate that.
All right. Can you come up? Would you write down your phone number, please?
One of the things is, I don't think the city is, permitted to go onto properties and dredge creeks or anything that's an official waterway. Is that correct, Patrick? We are,
The city nor the people who border it aren't allowed. Anyone who wants to go in there and do any work to that waterway has to have a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. We've been down this road before.
yeah, I sympathize with you, but we will do everything we can.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Matthew DeMaria. I live at 406 Tournament Trail, which is diagonal to their property.
On the other side.
On the other side. I'm going to leave the creek out of my discussion, even though it was high, because I have video evidence to show that the backup in our basements and most of the properties on Tournament Trail actually came up through the sewer. What happened there was, eventually the creek did get to our properties and caused even more damage. However, the sewage backup was at least 3 feet deep before the water ever got to us from the creek. And it was later determined, or at least told to us by the fire department, that the lifting station may not have been operational in that process. And so we're wondering what the city's willing to do, knowing that a good portion of the damage that was done on our street was not necessarily to the creek being, or at least directly arising, that it was possibly the lift station failure. What you all be doing to do that, being that some of the had substantial financial losses in this. I know I'm already above $18,000 out of my own pocket. My next door neighbors who we share a wall with were in the same situation. We had 7 feet of water in our basement by the end of all this. Lost everything: electrical panels, furnaces, hot water heaters, washers, dryers, and then in my situation, about half of the contents of my entire life, including going back to my childhood, losing everything that I've ever had growing up as a kid. So I was just wondering what you all would be willing to, or what direction you all would be willing to go with that situation.
What do we know about lift station?
I can speak to that. Well, unfortunately, the overflowing of the creek impacted the lift station, because the water was coming out of the creek and it was going in manholes, it was going directly into the lift station. So the pumps, each lift station, and where is Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, each lift station has 2 pumps, okay? They had to alternate them because of they were continuously running. And so for them not to short circuit, we had to alternate to give one a chance to recoup. But I would say inflow and infiltration was more of a problem, and that's why the water from the creek went into the sewer system.
So I do risk management for a living. It's my job. I teach at Penn State to teach individuals how to assess risk and understand it and mitigate risk. Knowing the creek has been overflowing numerous times, I've been here 5 years, and that it has once before even infiltrated the lifting stations. Why has precautions not been made with those lifting stations to, if you know the water's coming, if you know you need to alternate, if you know you need to, why have precautions not been taken in the past to solve this problem before it happened?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what an answer to fixing the lift station would be. Go ahead, Sean, you want to speak to this?
No, so first of all, the Hickory never failed. So we did alternate, pump overheated, we
So-
brought out a gas-powered pump,
Just so we can,
it never failed.
On the mic, right?
No, I'm good, I spent enough time up there.
Sean, Sean, please. I just wanna make sure that way it's on the minutes so everybody can hear and see.
So Hickory never failed completely, but the mayor is right, we did alternate it, did overheat. The creek, the pump, the lift station's just not built for that type of capacity. But as far as your question is why isn't there a plan, I mean, that's a very good question. It's something we've been investigating for the last week, and at the end of the day, I don't know why there wasn't a plan, but there should be going forward, and I think that's something that your council people are hearing tonight from you, and it's something that we need to work through.
John Stapira, 236 Old Oak Drive. I just want to get back to the creek. If you go into my backyard and look at the bank, you can see the roots of these trees slowly getting eroded away. And we're going to have a catastrophe if we don't fix this, because these trees are going to fall into the creek, and we're going to have massive floods compared to what we had lately. So we have to address this issue. And I encourage everybody in here, if nothing gets done, let's call our state senators, congressmen, and do whatever we can to get this problem fixed. Because we're going to have a catastrophe down the road.
Hi, I'm Lori Karasovich. I live at I don't live there, I own 244 Old Oak Drive. I'm a homeowner and I do rent it now. I purchased the home in 1986, so I've got a good history of what's gone on there. As he was just saying, back of my yard, there's a creek and it goes this way. It converges with, I want to say, it's Walnut Creek behind Cheryl's house. The videos and pictures I have from the past are just insane. There have been so many trees that are gone. It's like a rolling river. It's quite scary when it happens. And once again, my house just flooded, so I'm dealing with that. I know for a fact my home there has flooded 7 or 8 times. And twice I've turned it into insurance. I can't do it anymore. I can't keep turning it into insurance, so then I eat it all. Back, I want to say 25-ish years ago, I know that creek was dredged. And it was definitely dredged. And that helped. That did something, but now we're back to the same situation. I have in my backyard now just stumps and logs, and it's just, something has to be able to be done. I was told recently that Mosquito Lake is at some of its highest levels right now. I don't know that. Does that have an impact on the fact that that's not getting released enough? That water's, I mean, I don't know. Something has got to be done. For the tax dollars that we pay, I mean, it's a nightmare. It truly is a nightmare.
You are correct. They had to make 3 releases out of the lake on a week ago Monday because of the high level of the water. So that's just an indication of how much water came down. Water running down the creek got to the lake and it overflowed at the lake too. So it didn't cause a backup upstream, is what I'm saying. There was just a lot of water, and I understand what you're saying about.
Yeah, it's like every time I know there's going to be like 3 inches of rain or 3 days of pure rain, I do get panicked because I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again, and once again, here we go again. So I'm hoping that the council can do something and hear our cries because it's not easy being a homeowner in that area.
I understand. And we will look at every option that we have, including our federal partners, or DNR, Army Corps, anybody who has jurisdiction over, because obviously that creek is fed from further parts north. So it's not just water that's falling in our vicinity. It's all, we're a collection point downstream. So the question is, you know, if we look, we have to look outside of just what's in your backyard, because obviously that's not
Right.
the exclusive feeder of that. And I know that at one point in the past, for those on Tournament Trail, we had a situation years past where the water was coming over, Route 5 and down into your, I believe, at one point. So that, you know, that was water coming off those fields across, in Johnson, I think, or Macmillan, one of the, but it was coming down your main street. So I know that flooding, you've had water from there before. But as far as this episode, you know, the creek, all the water from north came down, overflowed our creek, which then backed it up into your yards, including our sanitary lift stations, which then pushed it back up. That's what happened. Now the question is, looking at everything that happened and trying to put together the just cause so that we can go back and work with our partners to try to figure out what can we do.
Unfortunately, this has been going on
Yeah.
since '86 that I know of. I mean, it's not a time, but it does happen, and when it does, it's bad. So,
Thank you.
Are you gonna look at cleaning up the creek though, at least? You can't clean up this,
The city can't do anything unfortunately, but I think we probably ought to have the Army Corps of Engineers come to a public meeting to explain what they can and can't do. Maybe have them do a little investigation ahead of time. I know we've got a good relationship with Representative Joyce's office. Maybe get him involved, his staff.
Well, we have to have a plan before we go to Joyce's office. They'll just give us money, they'll just give us funding. So we've got to have a plan.
Well, the Army Corps is a place to start.
Yeah.
Tell them it's a very important issue.
Well, obviously, it's a very important issue, but
Don, are you thinking maybe the congressman's influence over the Army Corps might get them to show up? I mean,
Wouldn't hurt.
I thought that's where you were going.
Yeah, I just think bring that to bear, use all those resources.
and again,
And
we'll look all behind bushes, under rocks, to try to find, you know, folks that will step up and be our partners to try to make this, get the creek.
that would be greatly appreciated. It almost
It's-
makes us wanna sell our house. We don't wanna sell our house, but like my fiance said, he can't do this again, this cleaning up. He physically cannot do it again.
This is one of the things, it's not gonna be a one person or one entity solution. It's gonna be a number of entities coming together to, rectify the situation.
And we're just fearful, I mean, you know, climate change and all that. How many times are we gonna get rain like that again?
Yeah, I know that in the past, we've used this once in a 100-year storm, but, you know, multiple times in a period of either a year or over 2 years. Now it's not once in 100, it's once in a 3-year period.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we will look at all options with all of our partners, to try to figure out what is the best solution, to help prevent this from happening again.
Thank you.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Would a public petition help with gathering, you know, what they want to accomplish and what we all want to accomplish is just a lot of names against a statement to put it in front of whoever we need to? Would a public petition help at all?
I would think if we have a meeting with somebody from the Army Corps of Engineers, the number of people showing up is a statement in itself. And you could ask your questions and hopefully they would come prepared to address what they can do, can't do, whatever. But, you know, that focusing, we can't do anything as a city to touch that waterway. And I know that's come up before.
I mean, volume speaks. One
do you have
person-
any idea who, I know it has been done in the past. I know for a fact that it did. It was dredged before. And I thought it was the township.
I was told that the township did do it and they got in trouble from the
city.
Yeah.
They wanted
that-
to,
yeah,
but they
that-
weren't allowed to.
And
They wanted
then y'all
to, but
got
they weren't
trouble
allowed
for that.
No,
Yeah.
they did back, I know they did one time.
You only have to
Only
get,
once.
you only have to get smacked down once before.
Yes, yes.
Now, you guys are right with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
My name is Joe Chul, I live in 3355 Niles Courtney Road. The only reason I'm here is I'm working down there at Tournament Trail. The sea of devastation is unreal. It's unreal. 7 feet of water, 3 feet of water, 1 foot of water. Brand new furnaces, shot. Hot water tank, gone. And like the one gentleman said, his property and everything that he had is gone. It's not like North Carolina, but it's devastating here also. But rumor goes around, and they said this has been a problem ongoing for a long time. At least 30 years that I've been here. I mean, we have to do something. The Army Corps of Engineers, they can't sit on this any longer. Congressmen call, what we gotta do, we gotta step up and get this situated. I feel for them. The people I'm working for, I feel for them. They cried. But, like I said, this has been going on for a long, long time. They said they're gonna dredge it, they can't dredge it, who's in charge of it? One goes this way, one goes that way. We've gotta do something, we can't wait for another storm, and it's coming.
I have a question for you, since you're in business, are you putting sump pumps or backup valves
That's my
and all
next
that kind of
question,
stuff?
is the sewer backups. Nobody has
three.
a sewer backup.
He has three.
Yeah, 3 sub pumps, you know, your normal house is 1 sub pump.
Right.
But when the fire department came out, they were told they're shutting down your power. So guess what happens to the sub pumps? They're not working.
Yeah,
Who's
that's
gonna
the
be
battery
out there
backup.
at 12 PM or AM and say, hey, we'll get you a trash pump out there? When I found out, we got out there right away, but a lot of these, you got National Disaster, you have Surf Pro out there, Retroworks is out there. They were on another storm, so these people had to wait until they got out there, so damage is done. But, you know, and I get it, you know, when they shut your power off, they have to. Electrocution could start a fire. Gas is not to play with. So you can ignite fire and explosions can start. I don't blame them for doing it.
And it
You have
wasn't,
to.
just to be clear, it was First Energy that made that decision.
Absolutely, yeah.
to
It
turn-
wasn't the city, it wasn't the fire department. Fire department goes by what they're supposed to do. And I was on the fire department before, and I know that's the first thing in a flood like that, you have to. They're only saving your life. It's devastating, but, you know, you're still alive, on that part. But, like I said, rumor has it, I don't know, we're gonna start digging and find out what's going on with the Army Corps of Engineers. Let's get something, a grant going, whatever, that's the thing. Turn in your insurance and say, oh, we had a failure on a sub pump. You know what the insurance is gonna say? I don't think so. That was a flood. Unless you have flood insurance, you're pretty well screwed.
Can't get flood insurance.
You can't get flood insurance. It's federal, flood insurance
Exactly.
is federal.
has to be designated a flood zone. Well, that's not true, you can, I was an insurance agent, you can buy a flood insurance policy without being a flood policy.
In so many zones.
No, not even a zone. Anybody can buy a flood insurance policy.
How much more you want to spend?
$1,000 a year.
Yeah.
I don't want it, you know, I may not be that much in an area, it depends on the amount of coverage.
$1,800.
House
Yeah.
insurance.
So what they told me.
Erie sells it. Erie.
Yeah, it's through the National Flood Insurance Program, but anybody can buy, it's called preferred policy.
But look at our policies now, they're up through the roof already, as it is. And a lot of these people are on fixed incomes, they can't afford it. That's what's sad, that's really sad.
No, you'd rather fix the problem than rely on insurance or anything for.
Yeah, who wants to wake up and, let's go swimming in our basement? It's not fun. But I feel, I see everybody down there, I felt their pain. It was sad, really sad. But I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question, I guess I went to the
Yeah,
microphone.
please.
Maybe. My name's Ethan Gilbride, I live at 128 Park Avenue. First of all, I want to say it's tragic what I'm hearing from all of you guys, it really is. I don't live by there, but I think, go off of what this woman said, that you said volume is what speaks, right? Volume speaks, and that's completely correct. However, you relying on every single person here, including more, just to come to a single meeting is a little unrealistic. I think either on their end here or on your guys' end, you guys need to have, like they said, a poll of some kind or some way for there to be a number of things that just to collect that information, so all these people don't have to come to a meeting again at 9 p.m. or almost 8 p.m. now. So I think that I can't speak on any of you guys for anybody, but that's what I would do is just gather that information so when that Army Corps of Engineers comes out or does their assessment, you don't have to have 60 people. It's great to have that, but to have that information so you can say, hey, there's 45 people that think that, et cetera, so.
Well, the idea of the meeting, hopefully they would do an assessment ahead of time.
Yeah.
The meeting is for them to share information with all of you, not just to hear what you have to say, but tell us what we can do as a city, what they can do, just so to get some answers. I know, trying to move the federal bureaucracy is tough.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying from the people's perspective, having that, even if it's not sitting up here with multiple people coming out, just saying, hey, there's so many people that are affected by this, so how can we fix it? Just showing that awareness.
I think somebody, I think it was you, said something about getting a list and
Yeah.
having people fill out names and addresses of affected.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Just, it's something as simple as that to present, I think would be a good start for sure. Yeah, just to put on paper.
In that way, like you said, numbers speak. So, thank you.
Hello, my name's Dylan Associates, and I live at 302 Tournament Trail. I live across the street from Baldwin now. So, until we figure all this out, and since we're all getting stressed out every time we hear it's happening, what can you do? Like, is it gonna be, someone's gonna be at these lift stations making sure they're working, so we don't have to worry that the sewer's gonna back up in our cellars, or we're just gonna wait? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there anything that's gonna prevent 7 feet of water in these houses till we can get the Army Corps of Engineers here? Anything that we can do to mitigate that?
Sean, is there anything preventative that we can do? I don't know if there is.
Yeah, so we're looking into preventative measures. The problem is that the capacity,
Sorry, but,
I hate this.
I know you hate it, but, that's why, because, we do publish the minutes and everything, so I wanna make sure that everybody's getting the same information.
So the problem is the system was overwhelmed. So in the short term, we are looking at measures. I know it's been an issue for a long time, and like I said, I don't know why it wasn't addressed before this. We're down some equipment, some of the equipment needs upgraded. We're trying to systematically do that. And, so I will throw every resource that, council will let me at the problem. And we'll try to come up with a short-term plan. Long-term plan, you need a couple different resolutions, right? Or you need a couple different options. You need to dredge the creek, and you need to look at upgrading the system, to be honest with you.
We were told that lift station out of all the ones in Cortland's always the problem. So why is that? What's with that lift station?
I can look into it for you.
Because
it's
always that one.
So.
It's always whoever's connected to that one. So
Yeah.
can we add one? in that area, maybe there's too many, I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, but is there
So
too
there's-
many on one,
There's a
or?
lot of infiltration in the system in Cortland. There's a lot of houses with rain gutters that go into the sanitary, and, you know, that's illegal under the current EPA, but when those houses were built, you know, it wasn't illegal because the EPA didn't exist. So honestly, the first step really is smoke testing the system, looking at where it leaks, finding out who's tied and contributing to it, and then working back from there. So we're looking at upgrading the pumping system for the lift station. We might need to replace some pipe and upsize the pipe, you know, for catastrophic events. These are all seven-figure resolutions, and, you know, but as far as that being
Like
the,
adding one, is that an option? Giving another one for this area?
I mean, it would be better to upsize it. That would be more feasible than adding an entire different, you know, taking it from the capacity it's at now. But we certainly are working on bids to replace the entire lift station. And at that point, we would bring it to council and see if they're responding for it. You know, and doing everything we possibly can to offset that cost to you as taxpayers. You know, chasing grant dollars, looking at
So
plans.
why is it that one? The question is, is that the oldest one? Why?
Not the oldest one, it's probably the one due to the historic nature of that creek that floods the often, because the creek floods.
Right, the closest, yeah.
So it's not that it's undersized for the service area for your houses, it's undersized for the service area plus the creek. Because it's not, sanitary systems are not designed to move natural water. They shouldn't, but that one does. So, honestly, I don't have an answer for you that I would be comfortable giving you, like, hey, we need to do this tomorrow, because it is a more complicated, there's risk mitigation that needs to happen, and we've been talking about that for a few months now, and, you know, this event just kind of puts an exclamation point on it, right? So,
Would adding a bigger panel and adding more pumps?
we've talked about multiple different options, and it's not exactly an economy of scale where you add pumps to it, and it's just, because really you're limited by the pipe downstream. You can pump a ton of water in that pipe, right, but the pipe has capacity. So it's not necessarily pumping. Honestly, it's a little bit of everything, and just.
Well, we were saying, well, we were hearing that the pumps were being,
Alternated.
alternated.
Because one would get overheated and
Yes.
trip the breaker, so we're like, well.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So-
that happened, because when there's that much water, it
So
just
adding a
runs.
panel would take care of that problem.
So what we did when they got overheated, we have a gas pump, so we bring out the gas pump and we run it. So if it gets overheated, we shut it down, we run the gas pump. So adding another pump, I mean, we have two pumps, and that didn't,
But you can't run at the same time all the time.
so the gas pump's not electric, it's fired by diesel. So we could run them to mitigate it, but again, it's just, they overheat because they run so much constantly. You know,
Just like
it's
your
hard
sub pump running,
to- Right,
it can run and run and run, and finally you're gonna burn it out.
right, it's just not made to run
It's not keeping up.
for 12 hours open for at full capacity.
There is another, I don't know, Tournament Trail, but if you have, in the sewage, homeowners would do just like a sub pump, would be a check valve. Now, there's a sewage check valve, but we have to find, you know, that in your community there, you have to find out if they have such a thing in each, condominium, if they have a check valve. If you have a check valve in there, yes, that would stop the sewage problem coming through. But I'm almost
everybody has to have
betting,
one.
yeah, everybody has to have one. You're looking at about $2,000 to $3,000 per check
Is that the
valve.
same as a backflow valve?
Backflow valve
Yeah.
is same thing, yeah.
Same thing,
Okay.
yeah. It won't allow the sewer to backflow into your home.
But we were investigating one of my jobs I'm doing, and that's the thing. The condo association should look into that and see if everyone has a backflow preventer. See, that's what you gotta find out too.
I've never heard of it, but I'm thinking we have one.
Getting
But
back
they-
to the check valve,
they
are
need to
you
know
looking
about
for check valves? I know you can put them in the basement, but in your yard, is there a,
I'm gonna defer to the contractors here. I wouldn't put them in my yard because
No.
I think that, how
It's
do you
not
maintain them?
feasible.
Well, you'd have to have some, I don't know how that would all work, but it's better to have a backup in the yard than it would be in your basement. So I don't know if in the yard or not. You know what I mean?
Your check valve in your sub pump would keep, as it's pumping, when it stops, that water or whatever in, say your check valve's here, okay, and when that pump shuts off, instead of that pipe from here down in that check valve,
Yeah.
going back into your sub pump in
See, my
your well.
sump pump worked fine.
Right.
The sewage came out through the drain.
Yes, and that's where you need to know if you have a backup flow, you know,
That's what I
flow
was thinking
preventer.
of, putting something in there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hire a plumber and see what they do.
Well, you know what you can do? You can go and get those, the 4-inch rubber gaskets at Handyman, no?
They don't smell, I mean, they fail. And
Yep.
we had.
There was so much pressure, cause we.
It'll blow 'em right out.
We have a backflow valve, we've got the 3 sump pumps, we've got the drains plugged,
Yeah.
and there was so much pressure, it still, we were able, this is the first time we didn't get the worst. It seeped out, and he just stayed up all night, and every few minutes, he'd get up and suck up what was coming through.
Okay.
But, the backflow valve does help. It's helped us tremendously. We kept getting sewer for years, like from 2011 to 2019, it happened to us 6 times in the 8 years. I've been here so many times, but some of these people I don't recognize, some I do. I'm surprised they don't recognize me. But the backflow valve,
You have a lot of good information. Can I get you up? I know.
let him finish.
Can we apply for a grant too, maybe to pay for some of this stuff, upgrading stuff? Can that happen?
Oh, yeah, I mean, from a city and help, yeah.
Or, you know,
Sean, yeah.
But
There are grants and stuff.
Sean's still out there.
Yeah, he's right there.
Sean, just real fast, I wanna make sure I make a comment on, something that one resident said, in case other people are listening, that live near other lift stations. The lift stations are checked, they're checked daily. Am I incorrect about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, I wanna make sure that is out there, that they do go around and check every station every day, even on weekends.
Not only are they checked daily, we have remote monitoring systems, so when one of them fails, numerous people in the city get phone calls. And the system will auto dial us and tell us that it's failed.
Yeah, I wanna make sure I brought that up, just in case someone's watching or listening that lives near a lift station, not even in that area, so they know they are being checked.
But in this case, they didn't fail,
No,
so.
they didn't fail, they were just overwhelmed. The system couldn't do it. It's not actually the lift station, it's the pipe moving the water away. That's what limits the ability to move water.
I think that's what most people have been hearing, that they failed. So
Right.
at least we can get that out and say they didn't
They
fail,
they
it was
work, they just,
overwhelmed.
you can only push, you know, if you have a garden hose and it's feeding into a straw, you can only
so they work.
push
but
out
they
that
work
much
good
water,
enough.
so. We had a garden hose going into a straw capacity.
So the lift stations are ineffective then, if they can't control the water.
So lift stations are for sanitary. The water that infiltrated the system, not a storm. They're 2 separate
The
systems.
water that we got in our basement is sewer, we got sewer in our basement.
Because it compromised.
From the lift
manholes
station to the
aren't they supposed to be
building,
sealed?
So the manholes for sanitary are sealed, but the problem is that a lot of the houses throughout the city, their rain catchment that's supposed to go in a storm, it goes in the sanitary.
But some of those aren't sealed. In Tournament Trail, down by Bill Denman's number, what's his number, 500 something? 507, I believe. 507, I talked to the mayor and she said she was sending someone out. He wouldn't come, but he said he was home all day, no one came, and he went and looked at it, and it's still not sealed. His manhole. Remember, I called you Friday, and you said I'll send someone?
Yeah, 'cause we had a guy, I had a guy right in my office, and I said, can you go check it?
He said, so I'm just the messenger, he said, as far as he knows, no one came, he was home all day. He goes, but even if they came and I didn't see him, he said, I walked over and looked, and it's still not sealed, so he said they didn't seal it, if they came, they just looked at it. And that's a problem, he said, 'cause when the creek,
507.
507, it overflows and goes into that. And he said that there's more that aren't sealed. Bill Denman, I'm
Are
503.
the ones around the residents, are those sealed too?
I don't know personally. Honestly, I would have to.
Somebody needs to go check.
So I'm sending a text right now. So we'll check it first thing in the morning. And I'll ask them to take pictures and video proof.
I took pictures, if you wanna look at them
Yeah,
afterward.
sure.
Cause to be honest, I look at them, I'm like, I don't know if they're sealed or not, but he says he knows and that you guys would know, but I did take pictures in
Okay,
case
no, I
you wanted to
appreciate
see them.
Thank you. Anything we can do to serve you guys, that's why we exist.
Anybody else wanna come and speak?
Can I ask a question? I by no means know none of this, but is there a way to get thicker pipe? Or
That's what Sean
I
had
mean,
said, to
maybe-
look at the entire system.
that it could flow
and
better?
see if we, if something would help like that, yeah. Right? So we're gonna look at every option, including pipe size and everything.
Every single option. And maybe you guys get together and put in a massive French drain that help, maybe, I mean, we'll come up with a plan.
French drain?
French drain.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you put a French drain in?
Sir, we'll look at
Most
every
houses,
available.
most houses back in the day, they had French drains around the basement. Most of these houses has it in the floor of the basement. That's the problem.
Yes, sir.
You're putting too much water in through the streets. And if you look at these manholes in the streets, they're packed full of leaves. Never had a vac pump or a vac truck suck them clean. And how you can find out, get a hold of Rex King over there and he can put a camera down through them. And I bet they're plugged.
We
I would-
have cameras and we have a vac truck.
Huh?
We have.
Use it.
We,
I've been there for 5-6 years on 248 Old Oak Drive, and I never seen a vac truck stuck them out. They're packed full. So all the street water is going in onto people's property against their houses. 7 inches of water come off that road in our front yard, into the neighbors. Had a Chevy 1500 Silverado, you know, the running boards on it, right up to the running boards in the driveway. And as far as that lift pump right up the road from us, they're always working on it. It's shot because they had a manual motor pump trying to help it.
I have pictures
Damn
of
thing is
that.
wore out.
2 years ago, my husband and I drove over there because what he's saying is true. I have pictures of them working on it, the men, they let me take pictures, and
They're
those
gone.
men themselves told us, this is the worst one in Cortland, it's always this, it's
shot.
been for years, we've told them. I mean, they're telling us as residents, so of course then we're frustrated at you. We know it's not you personally, your fault, but it is in a sense if they're even telling us that they're telling you, why, like I just said, 2011, 2019, why does it keep happening? And the next thing I want is one more thing to help these people, and only because we're no experts, but my husband and I have been through this several times, so to help you of our mistakes that we made, we put a backflow valve in immediately years ago after that happened. 2011, it was, I have this written down at home, I should have grabbed the paper. Happened in February and then I believe May, that close the first time. We got the backflow valve in. What we learned is, so any of you that get a backflow valve, yes, it helps, but my tournament trail people will know when I send them texts and they wonder sometimes, why am I texting? Do not flush toilets, don't run water, even if you have a backflow valve. The backflow valve keeps the city sewer out. It shuts the flap off. But in your own home, because we blew it when we first got it and got our own sewer, we didn't know, and if the guys told us, I guess we didn't hear, so it doesn't matter, that was years ago, but don't flush toilets or run water when you think the lift station's busted, or you think your backflow valve's working, you'll get your own sewer. Which, yeah, it's not as bad as the city sewer, but you don't even want your own sewer, trust me. So the backflow valve's great, but you have to know, do not flush toilets or run water until you know lift station's working and the flooding of the road and everything's down. I text these people all the time, don't do laundry, don't flush toilets, don't run water, we think something's you know. We've been living like this for years of panicking, and I text them all, and I don't want to panic them, but it's just, we learned. So learn from our mistakes.
It's good to know, I would have never thought that you wouldn't use your own.
It still come in, it only shuts off the city, don't shut your own home off.
Matthew DeMary again, 402. I actually have another issue I would like to bring up and see if it's not possible for you all to be able to push through and use your leverage as city council to, so FEMA helps with national disasters. We're Torrent Trail, we're not qualifying for FEMA. There's, going through the FEMA's 21 agencies or whatever, I qualify for 0 assistance whatsoever. I was denied by my insurance. They flat out said, we're not covering this. Is there any way to try to get some assistance from the county, from the state, maybe from federal even? Like, if Army Corps of Engineers, ultimately, we all can point fingers and say it's their fault because, there's too much, ultimately, either there's no denying there's too much water going into the creek from too many places and it's not got enough flow. It takes a kindergartner to figure that out. Is there any assistance that we can get? Because we've got 28 units within our property, and then we have across the street as well that's had, all of those folks have been impacted as well. And most of us are dealing out $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to reclamate from this. And a lot of folks are on structured income. Is there any support that we can get from anywhere, to help with this? Because, there's a lot of us that just don't qualify for various different reasons, and we're here stuck in the middle, and, North Carolina, it was that was horrible what happened down there. FEMA came in and helped out a lot of folks, but we don't have those kind of resources up here.
So I actually am thinking EPA and EPA, state, federal, and then, through the state of Ohio, H2Ohio, I don't know what, I'll check those out in the
I'd
morning.
appreciate it. You all are the city council, you have leverage, you're in, you have the ears of the people above you as well. If you could use your influence to try to get us some support in here. If you came and looked at our street from Friday, what happened Friday night to Saturday morning on, it was a war zone. Dumpsters everywhere, every single reclamation company, plumbers, electricians, it was, even the trash truck had to stop halfway up the street, and he had to manually carry all the trash down the street on our trash day because there were so many crews working and had the street completely filled with trucks. That just tells you how much was going on, and it's just not cheap. It's super expensive, and we're not all made of money, so and I'm sure most of you all can associate the pain of that. So anyway, that's what my ask is for you all to use your influence if you can.
Mayor, could you add, the Red Cross and Catholic Charities to the listed welcome group of citizen assistance?
That's not
We will reach out to everybody we can think of and see if we can't get the more folks we have involved, the better chance we have of getting.
Thank you for your time.
Cheryl.
So what are your next steps? What's the next step?
Well, tomorrow, I've already contacted U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Tomorrow, I can check Red Cross, Catholic Charities, I can look online for EPA and H2Ohio, to see if they have any, funding. That will probably likely be for the city, but the Red Cross and the Catholic Charities, we can see if they,
I'm not talking about financial, I'm talking about the issue of the flooding and the sewers coming in our homes. What's next step?
Well, the service director is here.
yeah. So a few of the things that he mentioned were smoke testing the area, looking at the manhole, we need to better secure the lift station. And then we have to evaluate the entire system in that area to see if we,
The capacity,
if we need to.
how can we get it out faster? If it's upgrading pipes,
With bigger pipes and a new panel, just new, we want all new lift station on Oak Hill with big pipes, new panels. It's funny, but it's not.
I actually think your lift station has.
In the Army
Yeah, we have all the
Corps,
cameras.
couldn't they put a reservoir or something that's kinda like something that they could put in, like a holding big area that they could put in
I don't know why.
Like on that golf course that's not being used,
no,
dig us a big old pond and lake and let it help as a sporting place.
A
Yeah, it's
retention, a huge
pond.
retention.
It's better than what we got there now. Yeah. Is the pipes
That take the water away, are they the original, like, from back, I mean, has it ever been upgraded? Because, you know, back then, these homes were built, and as time's gone on, then all of tournaments are all, you know, it just keeps growing and growing. And if they're the same size, I would think that that would be a huge solution, but once again, who am I?
It's part of the solution,
Yeah,
I worry about your alarm system too, because 2 years ago, it failed. We were getting seepage, so we panicked and called. I got the guy's name and number still, I hate to say it, I don't see him here, and I've been trying to call him this time, and now he's ignoring. So, I don't even know if it still works for you guys, I could tell you privately, but he came out, and he's like right away, oh, your guys' street drains and stuff, we're gonna have to clean them out, that's the issue. 'Cause I'm like, it looks like the road's flooding, we're panicking, we're getting something. I right away thought the lift station. He checked the drains and stuff, said they were good, knocked on my door, told me they're good. He goes, I'll be right back. We waited and waited, I called. It was 2 people, I got the other lady's name and number in my phone too. She finally called me for him and said, just so you know, he's over at the lift station, they're not coming back, it's not your drain. So by the time he came back to me, he thanked me and said, had you not called us, this would have been worse, because something happened that they didn't get the alarm or the call.
Yeah,
He
there
said,
was-
we had no idea that it failed that time,
And
this
we
was
I think we
2023.
upgraded all of, we
Okay.
upgraded all of that.
'Cause now that panics me, 'cause I was like, so had I not called you, you wouldn't have been checking the lift station. He's like, no, 'cause we get alarmed or whatever, like he said, with the calls.
Right.
So then I said to him, and he laughed, but I'm like, I'm serious. He did give me his number though, I go, I want called. I go, I will call the whole city if I have to. I go, this has happened so much to us, can you call me as soon as you know it's down so we can warn everybody, don't run, don't fuss? He's like, well, how are we gonna do that?
I don't get any sleep.
I mean,
When
you're
it
that
rains, when it
desperate.
rains really bad, I'm in the basement.
I'm sure all
I mean,
these people are like
protecting
checking
my
their sump
property.
pumps, checking their
Will be
drains,
now.
yeah. So I just wanted to make sure, is the system, 'cause he didn't call me back this time. So I wanted to know, make sure that that's up and running, that you're getting the alarms and you're getting the calls that it quit working or something.
Yeah, no, the alarm system
Works good right
Works.
now, okay,
if there's a failure.
okay,
In this case, it was capacity, so
okay, right,
it was just struggling.
right.
So. But yeah, you heard from our interim service director, the mayor, we do sympathize and we will look at all options with our federal partners, state partners, local partners, to try to move this forward to eliminate or reduce the option or chance of this happening again. We're sorry that you had to go through this.
and how do we get on your whatever?
Go to the website and there's a link that says subscribe to e-news, and you just type in your email and hit.
You guys put that in a newspaper also. Portland
Yeah,
News.
yeah.
And you can always give us a call. Just give us a call. Give me a call directly, you can call.
I mean, this is definitely something you guys are really
We can
gonna,
manually put their email if they call and they don't have access to a computer. We can manually go in and add your email to the
But I'm
list.
saying, if you wanna call and follow up, just call. You can do that.
it's crazy, it's almost like I have PTSD, when I had this property so long, and it's just like, it's, every time it's getting rain on it, it's like, oh gosh, are we doing this again?
I was out of town, and we were driving up to Cleveland Friday night, and 422 in Parkman was closed. It had flooded. And when I got to the Solon, where Stouffer's is, coming east on 422, it was over the bumpers of cars. So I was, in our westbound, we were about 6-7 inches of water, and I was just trying to get to the airport to go out of town for the weekend, but I had to do back roads through Parkman just to get to Cleveland, so I knew there was a lot of water.
Are we getting from north to, like, Kinsman, Do we get water from up there?
I don't know where the feeding of Walnut, of the creeks, where that tributary,
Maybe Army.
distribution, but yeah.
I was just curious, 'cause whenever they have trouble, it seems like we do, and they're north of us, so I'm like, are we getting their overflow as well?
Without, I'm sure that there is some, coming down, and eventually, as you go further south, the rivers get bigger.
Well, that's where that creek starts, isn't it?
That's what I was asking him, if he knew, 'cause I don't know for sure, but I've heard rumors that
Yeah.
you're getting stuff from Kinsman, 'cause I got on Facebook and I saw 5 hours before ours started happening, like our roads flooding and stuff, the Kinsman people were saying the park's underwater, there's road closed, my basement's flooded, and I'm like, dang it, I wish I would've looked at this 4 or 5 hours ago, I could've said, guess what, it's coming. But somebody else then
But yeah,
told me, no, that's not true, you're not getting that, and somebody said, oh, no, you are, and I'm like, well.
I don't know how far north it would come, but,
Kinsman's in the Shenango watershed.
yeah, but, Johnson and that, probably some is coming down. So the water you're seeing is not just water that fell in the city limits.
Sean just provided an update. The pumps at both Old Oak and Hickory pump stations have been replaced within the past 2 years. So we're dealing with new pumps, a new dial-out service.
So they put new pumps in, but they didn't put bigger pipes when they put the new
Oh,
pumps?
we can't put in bigger pipes, that's a whole different thing.
Well, is that something you're gonna look into though?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's,
It's hard for us to understand, you know?
I know,
Yeah.
I know. And then you have to deal with different things like fall, if we're not fall to put in bigger pipes. And so that's something that we'll evaluate.
We'll look at the whole system, the whole distribution system from the catch, from the pump station all the way through the end of the thing, so. We'll scope things, we'll look at all the leaves, the gentleman was saying leaves, we'll look at all that.
But I think it's more gonna be a price.
Yeah.
But, you have to realize the amount of rain we received that night. You can get 5.5 inches, 6 inches of water, it doesn't matter how big that pipe is. It's not gonna, you can put in a 2-foot pipe. If you get 5, 6 inches of water, it's not gonna help. This is devastating. It doesn't happen like every week or whatever. We're getting a lot of rain now.
Yeah.
But just like Sean said, they're looking into it, but it doesn't matter how big of a pipe you put in. It doesn't.
No, there's always gonna be an event where it's not big
Yeah.
enough.
Yep.
but it could maybe
Could help.
potentially,
Yeah, looking into
Reduce
it.
the amount.
This might be a dumb question, but, I mean, I've lived in other areas, they don't have lift stations. Why do we have to have lift stations? Can we do something so we don't have to have them like other towns? What's the,
It's the topography of the city.
Yeah.
Lift stations push water uphill. So Old Oak feeds into Hickory, which feeds in, it just pushes it up.
no, but I mean, like, Champion, Hartford, Newton Falls, they don't have lift stations. Why does Cortland have lift stations?
Because
Why
of
can't
the
we just have them flat?
topography of
We're in a lower
just the
area.
system. You're in a low area, pushing it uphill to the county. The county treats all of your sewer. So we have to push it to the county. They're uphill from us. And for the record, we did replace 2 in Old Oak and the 2 in Hickory. So there are 2 pumps in each. The old ones we took out, they're on the shelf as backups. Just to clarify with the mayor. So all those pumps are brand new. Your limiter is the pipe. There's 4-inch pipe in that area. It's not all. That's the problem.
Especially if we have infiltration from outside sources.
The
in
pipe
that.
is designed to move sanitary. It's not designed to move
Water.
Did you say 4
stormwater.
inches?
4 inches, that's it.
So the problem is the creek. That's what has to
All
get
the creek,
solved.
Yeah,
The creek is
well,
the problem.
It's a
Could
major
Cortland get their own
contributing
sanitary system?
Cortland did have their own sanitary system, and I will defer to these fine people as to the history.
Before our time. Yeah, it was way before our time. I think it was during the 1980s.
Yep.
That we got out of sanitary sewer business. Likely because of the cost of maintenance, EPA regulations. Right now, we have one person that just deals with EPA.
You do too,
No.
for your
All right.
system.
Any other comments? We appreciate everyone who did come tonight.
Thank
We
you for
will take-
listening.
We will take your comments and everything to heart, and we will look at the entirety of the event, the system, and then see who we can get, to help us address the future, especially the dredging of the creek, which is a huge, and the mayor will jump on that, the, Army Corps.
Already have,
Okay.
already did today.
And again, if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I mean,
Thank
we're
you.
here for you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
all
much.
very much. Thank
Very
you.
much.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, including council, law director, mayor, service director, and finance director.
Can I have a roll call on the motion for adjourning into an executive session?
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Kerry.
Yes.
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fisher.
Yes.
Kevin Freilich.
Yes. We're gonna go into executive session. No decisions will be made, no action will be taken. We will reconvene and then pick up with the rest of the, agenda once the executive session is, complete. But again, no action and no decisions will be made during that session. You're more than welcome to hang out, wait for us.
When I lived down in Newark, we had a very poor power grid.